Welcome to the All Things Nintendo podcast. I'm Brian Shea, and this is a weekly podcast to discuss all the biggest news and games from the world of Nintendo. This is the first episode of 2025, so you can probably guess what we are going to be getting up to during this show. That's right, we are going to be looking ahead at the year on the horizon, but I think we're going to be taking a somewhat unique approach to it. After we talk about the things we know are coming this year, we are going to transition to some predictions and then hear from the listeners of the show with a fun buy or sell segment. Joining me for all of that is co-founder of Wicked Good Gaming. It is New England's own Dom Mahoney. Dom, how are you doing?
Doing great. Doing absolutely lovely. Happy New Year. And thanks for having me. It's always great to be back on ATN and eager to get started and talk about what a year we got ahead of us and eager to leave lots of stuff from 2024 behind.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 2024 was not my finest year, but 2024 was not my finest year. I don't know what I said. Did I say 2024 or 2025? We're recording this on New Year's Day, and I'm very tired. But we're gonna make it through this, and we're gonna do it with the power of the community. They are gonna be supporting us on this episode.
The power of friendship.
Yeah, the power of friendship and the power of community. But Dom, let's kick this off with the facts of what we know is coming in 2025. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, I was running down this list. It sounds like a lot when I read this off, but there is so much we still don't know about Nintendo's 2025. Like, there's just like so much in flux, so much up in the air. But we're going to run down this list that I found of things that are coming to Nintendo Switch. And obviously, there's a bunch of like smaller games that I've never heard of before, but we're going to skip just like the noteworthy stuff.
Sure.
So January 16th is our first major release. It is Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Very excited for that one. January 17th, Tales of Grace's F Remastered. Okay. January 23rd, Guilty Gear Strive. So, a well-loved or a beloved fighting game there. Sure. January 23rd, Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles. February 11th, Civilization 7. February 14th, The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak 2. February 14th, Tomb Raider 4 through 6 Remastered. February 27th, Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection, which is a compilation by Digital Eclipse, which is one of my favorite studios right now. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 2 Dark Duel Stories, Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories. There's a lot of dark dueling here. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 4 Battle of Great Duelists, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 6 Expert 2, Eternal Duelist Soul, Sacred Cards, and Reshif of Destruction, with online multiplayer support for one of the games and a couple of others that are going to be announced later. So that's quite the collection there. March 20th, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. March 25th, the clunkiest name of all the games that are here, Tales of the Shire, the Lord of the Rings game. Why couldn't they just drop the in the Lord of the Rings? Why couldn't it have just been a Lord of the Rings game? Everybody would know what they're talking about.
Or like the Lord of the Rings, Tales of the Shire.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. But and then we have several games that we know are coming to Switch or Switch adjacent stuff, because we do have a new console apparently coming this year. These are allegedly the TBD releases. Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Coffee Talk Tokyo, Croc Legends of the Gobos, which is a remaster of the first Croc game, Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake, Glover. Shout out to Glover.
Wait, is it a Glover remaster?
Yeah. N64 Glover's back.
I got to text my brother right after the show because he is going to pass away when I tell him that. That is huge news.
Hello Kitty Island Adventure is coming in the first half of next year. Little Nightmares 3, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which was one of the ones that I was very excited for out of the Game Awards, Pokemon Legends ZA, Professor Layton and the New World of Steam, R-Type Tactics 1 and 2 Cosmos, which I don't know what that is, but R-Type is a franchise I loved back on the SNES, Rusty Rabbit, which is a Metroidvania game that is just like over the top wild. I got to play it a little bit at Summer Game Fest this past year. Shantae Advance Risky Revolution, that's in the early part of this year. Shovel Knight Shovel of Hope DX, Trails in the Sky First Chapter, that's later in the year. And that's really all we know right now in terms of like noteworthy release. Are there any of those that I rattled off that you were most looking forward to?
I mean, Pokemon Legends ZA, I think is easily, and that's a part of one of my predictions, so I won't go too crazy into it.
Okay.
But definitely looking forward to that. Um, Also, really looking forward to Donkey Kong Country Returns
Oh yeah.
HD. I did not know that that was coming up until like a week or two ago.
What? How'd
I
you
had
miss
no
that?
idea. I have no idea. I have been like so out of the loop, and it just feels like the last couple weeks have been an absolute blur. But Tropical Freeze on the Switch, like the Switch port, just like dominated my wife and I's life for like a straight month. I'm almost positive it was probably during like lockdown. She'll probably like shout correct me from upstairs, but we played that nonstop, and I'm pumped that that's. I mean, I wish we were getting a third game, but I may have to pivot one of my predictions because of the Donkey Kong thing. But I'm really excited because I never finished the first Donkey Kong Country Returns, but we did play Tropical Freeze nonstop. So, and I'm hoping that we eventually get a third in that series because those are just fantastic.
Yeah, and obviously Retro has been busy with Metroid Prime 4 ever since they took over that project back in like 2017. Good lord. And I mean, I don't want to. This. I don't think this is stepping on any predictions, unless stop me if it is. For the third entry, I think that it's going to be another studio doing it. I mean, my personal pick would be Platonic Games, who has done the ukulele titles.
Sure.
But it's comprised of all the people, or not all the people, but a lot of the people who did the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy back on SNES.
Right.
If you've played Ukulele in the Impossible Lair, that's basically a Donkey Kong Country game. Like, you should absolutely play that if you've not.
I haven't played it. No, I haven't. But I mean, I was following it. I know the game well, but yeah, I'll have to get on that. That's going to be next on my list.
Yeah, if you want a Banjo-Kazooie game, play the first Ukulele game. Wait for Yuka Replay though, because it's like a remastered, better version of that's coming out this year, I think, at some point. But if you want a new Donkey Kong Country game, play the Impossible Lair, because that game slaps so good.
All right, we need that.
Then some other things that we have to look forward to that are not like straight up game releases. So first 3 months, we know the reveal of the Nintendo Switch successor is happening. February 27th is Pokemon Day, so we usually get some news then.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Also my birthday. Awesome.
That's a great birthday. Mine is Halo 2 Day, November 9th. So
that's great too.
There's a few other. I think that's Skyrim too. I think November 9th was Skyrim as well. But yeah, that's
November 11th.
Oh, okay, that's right. I forgot it. Yeah, it was 11/11/11, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, some great video game date birthdays. Those are great.
Yeah, and it's awesome because Pokemon Day always has a live stream that tells all this new like information about the Pokemon franchise. Every year on my birthday, I get to work news. Well, I do get to work, but I get news of one of my favorite franchises. So that's cool.
True. Very true.
I don't know if this is one to really look forward to based on the stuff that we've seen, but April 4th, a Minecraft movie hits theaters.
Yep, it sure does.
One I'm a little bit more optimistic about, also coming in April. Apparently, there's a Devil May Cry animated series coming to Netflix.
Ooh.
And those Netflix animated series have largely been pretty good.
Yeah. Am I mixing it with something else, or was there already a Devil May Cry series, or am I thinking of
Castlevania?
Yes, I'm thinking of Castlevania. If it's in the same,
incredible from what I understand.
Yeah. I've never been a huge Castlevania guy. I mean, I'm familiar with the series, but all my buddies that like Castlevania loved that series. So maybe Devil May Cry will be in the same vein there.
Yeah, I only watched the first season of the Castlevania series, and it was very good, but I've heard it's even gotten better beyond that, so I should go back and watch that, because I loved Castlevania back in the day.
Absolutely.
Obviously, what is there to love of Castlevania, like, in the past, like, decade?
Very true.
I mean, there's been some crossover stuff. The Dead Cells thing was pretty cool. The Dead Cells collab that they did, and the Vampire Survivor stuff was cool, but, like, pretty barren otherwise.
I know. Yeah, they've been starving.
Are you a theme park guy, Dom?
I am a theme park guy. Yeah, I haven't been to a lot of theme parks in recent years. 2 years ago, went to Disneyland.
Oh, nice.
My wife was pregnant with our son at the time, so it was basically just me running around Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, going on like the single rider line 300 times.
Oh, it's the best.
So good. I was in and out of I think I rode the Millennium Falcon ride like 12 times. Um, but I haven't been to like Disney World since I was probably 15, 16. We went to Universal, I think, in like 2017. But I need to get to Super Mario World. I know we've got a Donkey Kong theme park. Some rumors on the horizon with that. I
No,
mean,
it's not rumors. It's open in Japan right now.
oh my God.
Yeah, it opened in December in Japan, and that's what we're getting to next. May 22nd, Super Nintendo World opens in Florida as part of the new Epic Universe theme park.
Oh my God.
June
Need that.
2025, Summer Game Fest. August 20th, Gamescom starts. October 25th, Mortal Kombat 2 hits theaters, which I get the criticisms of that first Mortal Kombat movie that this part of
I
this new
liked it.
continuity. I had a good time with it. It
I
was
liked it.
exactly what I wanted from a Mortal Kombat movie, minus the fact that there was no like tournament.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a fun movie with some good choreography,
Yeah.
silly action, but like it was, a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
October 25th is when Mortal Kombat 2 hits theaters. And then December 11th, the Game Awards 2025. So that's some of the stuff that you should circle on your calendar. Is there anything you are circling on your calendar from that list that I just ran down?
Well, we have PAX East as well. PAX East is going to be, I believe, is in May this year.
What?
I'm almost positive it's landing like on Mother's Day weekend, which
Oh,
they
God.
did. They did that like 3 or 4 years ago. It landed like on Mother's Day weekend for some ungodly reason, but yeah, I believe it's May 10th this year. So PAX East is always great. It's always an awesome time. That's like, I mean, obviously it's a lot easier for me because it's in my backyard. I can just take the train into
Yeah.
town to go. But I'm excited for that. That's always like a big like gaming family reunion. So pumped about that. But otherwise, I mean, I'm gonna need to get to Florida because I need Super Nintendo World in my life, and especially with all the cool Donkey Kong stuff that's coming, we definitely need to make a pilgrimage down there.
Dude, I'm so excited for that. Like, I've been to both Super Nintendo Worlds that exist right now, the one in Osaka and the one in California.
Mm-hmm.
The one in Osaka blows the one in California out of the water because the one in California is so compact and it's missing the Yoshi ride. It's not getting the Donkey Kong Country expansion. The
Oh
one
no.
in Florida is getting the Donkey Kong Country expansion, and it does have the entire experience because there's so much more real estate down in Florida than there is in the pre-existing Universal Studios in California. So I have high hopes for the one in Florida, and my parents just so happen to, bounce back and forth between Florida and Pennsylvania in their where they live, depending on the time of the year. So I have a place to stay. So I'm like, man, I kind of want to wait for the crowds to die down a little bit because
Sure.
you know how even like the first year and a half of a new theme park can be. But I kind of want to do a like you said, a pilgrimage down to Epic Universe and then take the opportunity to also go to like Disney and Epcot and Animal Kingdom and all that stuff
Yeah.
while I'm down there. Cause it's been, I guess 5 or 6 years since I've been to Disney, or at least Disney World. I went to Disneyland last year for the first time ever. But yeah, Disney
It's
World.
surprising how small it is compared to
Oh yeah.
Disney World.
Actually,
Like
yeah, it is.
like the castle at the center of Disneyland is like it's just like a 3-family house. Or like a 2-family, like it's like a big townhouse. It's not, it's crazy to think I've only been out there once, and that was like 2 years ago. But Galaxy's Edge is unbelievable. If you haven't done that yet, you gotta that's a whole, you could spend the whole day there. And those they give you like a 3 cocktail limit in the cantina, but you only need 3. You only need like 2 or 3 because I was definitely speaking some other languages when I was coming out of that place. But it's
understanding Jabba the Hutt all of a sudden.
100%. I was speaking fluent Huttese after a few fuzzy tauntauns.
So I actually did go to Disneyland the year before as well because there were a couple of events and both of them involved Disneyland. But this past year I went to Disneyland and I was actually able to do a lot of it with like a tour group. And so we got to like, go on all the rides. And then afterwards we got it all broke up and it was like me and a bunch of other like games media and like influencers and everything. A few people who've been on this show as well in the past. We were all hanging out in Disneyland and I broke off with Ryan McCaffrey from IGN and we basically spent the rest of the day together and he's like a Disneyland like aficionado. So he was like, all right, we got to go do this. And like the cheat code, like you had mentioned earlier, was do the single rider lines, even if you're with somebody else, because chances are you'll still get to go like very close to one another.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We did the single rider line. We went on every ride that we wanted to, and we maybe waited in line the entire day for like maybe 30 minutes total. And that includes going on Rise of the Resistance 4 times. That includes doing the Smuggler's Run, the one with the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, it's so good.
I think we did that 3 times. We did Space Mountain 4 times.
Yeah.
Star Tours, all that stuff. And it just so happened that like the single rider lines were just barren. So we went through the single rider lines and we ended up on all the same like sessions, even though like it was just like we kept checking the app because the app will tell you what the wait times are. And we were like, it says there's like, you know, a 20-minute, or it said 15-minute wait for Galaxy's Edge. And we're like, oh, or not Galaxy's Edge, Rise of the Resistance. So we go over there and it's like, there's no line. So we like walked in it and got on and then got off and went right back in line and walked right back on again. And it was
That's
just
unreal.
It was unheard of. And he was like, I've been doing like Disneyland like every year at least once for like the last like X number of years. This has never happened before. And I was just like, this is unbelievable. I will take this any day of the week.
It's always good to have a friend who like knows Disney like the back of their hand.
For sure.
Those pro tips. Good buddy of mine, Paul, who works over at Devolver, is also like that. Was also in Disneyland's backyard for a few years. And so when we were out in Anaheim, he met us and he was like, "All right, this is exactly what we need to do in this order, and we'll get through everything super fast." And like it was great. So it's right. There is a special seat in heaven for people who know theme parks at the back of their hand.
They can help their friends.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Disney Sherpas. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right, Dom. So before we get into the buy or sell prompts, which is going to be the main portion of this episode, I have asked you to bring some predictions containing varying degrees of spice. And I have my 3 as well. I actually struggled with some of this. Coming up with the spicy takes were a little bit tough for me. But let's go in order here from mild to spiciest take. Do you want to go first or second here?
I'll go first. I'll kick it off. Let me pull up my my take list here.
So spicy level 1.
Spicy level 1. So this is a very palatable. This is a very palatable take. I don't think this is too controversial, but I think this is just spicy enough because I don't think we know enough about this game yet to really be able to solidify anything. But if done right, if it's everything it's cracked up to be, I think that Pokemon Legends ZA has the potential to become one of the most beloved Pokemon titles of all time.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, Pokemon Legends Arceus is my favorite Pokemon game since Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So that's 15 years. So yeah, if done right and like they learn all the right lessons from Legends Arceus and carry that into Legends ZA, I'm right there with you. It could be one of the top tier Pokemon games.
Totally agree. And I think, also this is I think it's the first Pokemon game that we've had that's had like a 2 or 3 year break. Like this has been the longest, I think, production cycle for a Pokemon title in God knows how long.
Yeah, it's been annualized for the longest time now.
Yeah. And even with Arceus, I mean, Arceus came out the same year as, did it come out? Was it Scarlet Violet?
Yeah. Arceus came out, I think, in January. It was like January 26th. Of the same year that Scarlet and Violet hit, but it was originally supposed to be, I think, November or December of the previous year, and it just got delayed into that year.
Yep.
But and then we had Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. The year, no wait, was
that the same year?
That was the same year as Legends Arceus, I think, and then Scarlet and Violet, I think, was the next year.
It was like 3 within like 16 months or something like that.
So yeah, I think it was
really tight.
I think it was Legends Arceus in like the early parts of one year, and then Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl later that year, which was a different development studio. That was Ilka. That wasn't Game Freak.
Right.
And then Game Freak's next game was Scarlet and Violet, which was the following year. So yeah, this does have probably the longest production cycle, and I think they hopefully have learned their lessons from the technical problems of Scarlet Violet.
Totally. I think that both Arceus and Scarlet Violet had some great ideas. Really glaring polish problems where it was like, man, if they could just have taken another 6 months or something, I don't know, to really polish this up and not have to hit that holiday window for Scarlet Violet. I remember not even being able to look at Arceus for the first couple times that I attempted to play it. I was just like, this is such an ugly game up close, but from far away, it has this beautiful, like, painterly style to it, and I learned to love it. And then next thing you know, I did every single thing you could do in that game.
It's so good.
And I'm like, man, this is great. This formula is so good. I don't even want to play anything else now. And so I think for that reason, and obviously, is it Lumois City is the Lumios. It is a beloved setting. Fans already love it, and it seemed like everybody was real excited to go back to that Pokemon Paris type setting. And if we get a really big sprawling environment, I don't know if it's going to take place inside the confines of a city, but if it's a city the size of the Legends Arceus map or something like that,
would be absurd, because the entire game, like you said, is supposed to take place within the city. So it's like, all right, well, how are you going to make an entire game? And especially given like the way that game is like structured, Legends Arceus, if it's going to be structured anything like that, it's like, okay, well, you're going to be catching wild Pokemon. How does that work within a city? Because that's never really been like, it's always like, okay, the city is where the wild Pokemon aren't. And then you go out into like the roots, and that's where the Pokemon are, the caves or whatever.
Don't go out into the tall grass. But this is like, hey, don't go into that back alley. I don't know. I don't really know. But who knows? But I mean, we've seen only that one teaser, right? I mean, we know precious little about this game, and it's coming in a few months. We think. So allegedly. I mean, hopefully we have a full tear down, on your birthday. But I think if everybody's wildest dreams come true, this is a top S tier Pokemon title, and hopefully this ushers in a new era for the the 3D mainline Pokemon games, and kind of sets the standard moving forward.
That would be awesome. I would be all about that. Like I said, I'm super excited for ZA because Legends Arceus was so good. All right, my spicy level 1, I think I've said this so many times on this podcast, a 3D Mario game will launch alongside the Switch 2.
Ooh.
Like, think about the Switch 1. The Switch 1 had Breath of the Wild at launch.
Yep.
And then later that year had a new 3D Mario game. We got Bowser's Fury. That was a side dish to Mario 3D World on Switch, and that was great, but that was not a full 3D Mario game. In the time since we've gotten a 3D Mario game, we've gotten another 3D Zelda game and another 2D Zelda game.
That's true.
Another 2D Mario game. All of those things have happened in the time since we got
two 2D Zelda games.
Yeah.
Two. We got that Link's Awakening remaster and the newest one.
And Echoes of Wisdom, yeah.
Oh my god.
So we've gotten a lot of stuff, and like theoretically, a 3D Mario game should not take as long to develop as a 3D Zelda game.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that we're due. I think that they probably have something in the chamber, and they are ready to fire it alongside the Switch 2, because it just seems so like perfect, right? I don't think we're getting a new 3D Zelda game unless it is a remake of a certain game that was going to be mentioned later on in this show. Mm-hmm. But I think that a 3D Mario game is going to usher in the Switch 2, and that's going to be their killer app at launch.
Love that. And I mean, I don't think it gets much more killer than that. I mean, hey, a new 3D Mario, those things are flying off the shelves.
Yeah, so, for sure.
You would think that would move even more consoles than a Zelda game would.
You'd think so.
And the Wii had Twilight Princess. I don't remember what the Wii U's.
It was Mario or New Super Mario Brothers U.
Yeah,
was
that's right.
The launch title there.
Okay, so yeah, give us that.
All right, Dom, what's your spicy level 2?
All right, spicy level 2. I'm starting to think my spicy level 1 was not spicy enough. But this is a pretty big leap, I think, especially because we don't know when the Switch 2 is actually coming. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that we get it like Q2 and it's not holiday next year. I think, and I'm starting to kind of waffle a little bit because I'm starting to think about when it actually may come out. the Switch 2 will outsell the Wii U's lifetime sales in its first year.
Ooh, I like that one. I do. I need to refresh myself. Wii U
13.56 million units as of 2019. And I think that's maybe when it was discontinued.
Okay, so
and the Switch first year was like
13.12.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Again, I know that's a leap, but I think it's wholly possible, especially if with the way that the gaming market has embraced systems like the Steam Deck and the Rogue Ally and stuff like that. You have the more mature markets that are just like looking for a more powerhouse Nintendo system. You have the younger markets that like, hey, we're going to get a new Nintendo for Christmas. I don't know. I think this could be. This is going to be the break the console sequel slump. Even though
it would be nice.
Yeah.
So we do have a question similar to this in the buy or sell. So I'll let me just bring that up right now. So we have that. Right. This is from Josh S on Patreon. They say, according to Statista.com, the Switch sold 13.12 million units in its first year. All things considered equal, launch time, pre-order windows, etc. Buy or sell, the Switch 2 will outperform Switch 1 in sales in its first year. So kind of the same question, only a slightly different number, because he's talking Switch versus Switch, or Switch 2 versus Switch 1 instead of Switch 2 versus Wii U. Mm-hmm. And you're talking lifetime sales of the Wii U, and he's talking the first year, which is hilarious that those are the comparisons.
And the numbers are so close.
I know.
It's insane.
I think that I will sell that.
Okay.
So this kind of goes with my spicy level 2 take, and I'm just going to kind of counter your spicy level 2 take with my own. Mm-hmm. And my spicy level 2 take is the Switch 2 will be easier to find than the Switch 1 was at launch. And I have two reasons for that. One, it seems like Nintendo is, all the reports have been that Nintendo is kind of stocking up to try to avoid the extreme hardware shortages that they experienced through a lot of like the first half of the Switch 1's life cycle. Like, remember, even like in 2020 when COVID was happening, the Switch 1 was like impossible to find during that because of like supply chain stuff and everything. And then the first year, the Switch 1 was also very difficult to find around the launch window. I think that Nintendo's going to try to mitigate those problems by producing more than they did with the Switch 1 and hoping that the sales will also bear out that. But I think that there's going to be a bit slower adoption with the Switch 2 than there was the Switch 1. The reason being, not a lot of people bought a Wii U. So by the time the Switch 1 came out, people were ready for a new Nintendo console.
Right.
A freaking ton of people bought the Switch 1. And I think that a lot of people are still buying the Switch 1, which is why it's still being a threat to the PS2's crown for like top selling console of all time. Mm-hmm. I think that there's going to be some people that are like, I just got my Switch like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, even last year. I can wait a little bit for a Switch 2. And I think that is, those two factors are going to lead to the Switch 2 being easier to find than the Switch 1 was in its first year.
I like where your head's at there, and I can definitely see that. I'm buying, though. I think that, as much as I can see the typical, like, Nintendo hanging on, like these, the next Zelda or the next Mario is also going to be on Switch or Switch 1. Like, I don't know if I can see them drawing a hard line in the sand, because I feel like, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me to back this up, but I feel like anytime a new console comes out, there's always like one or two mainline or like first party titles that still hangs around on the previous console. Or maybe it gets a buffed up version on the next one. But I feel like the iteration, like the iterative models of the Switch with the Switch Lite, the Switch OLED, just haven't been strong enough to make it where somebody might be on their second or third Switch already. I still have my launch model Switch.
So do I.
I never buy multiple, even with like my 3DS. I had my
Oh,
teal,
jeez.
my metallic teal 3DS up until PAX last year, where I bought a new 3DS XL off one of my buddies because I just wanted to play like on a nice big screen.
Yeah, it was
I
a
wanted
big
to,
upgrade.
it was insane. It was like, yeah, it was wild because I still hadn't played Pokemon Sun and Moon
Oh,
up
wow.
until like a year ago, and I just started playing, and it was great. It was great. Also played that while I was in Hawaii, and I felt like I was really there. It was
Oh,
really
that's incredible.
it was very immersive.
That's like when I was the most immersive experience I've ever had in gaming was also on a 3DS, and my plane was going through pretty severe turbulence, and I was playing Star Fox 64 3D, and it was the most intense gaming experience I've ever had in my life. I'm like doing barrel rolls. It feels like I'm doing barrel. It's like one of those like 4D rides that you go to at an amusement park where it's like you know the ship that you're in hits like a meteor and the entire like room shakes. That's what it felt like.
Yep. That's like something out of that sounds like a 3DS commercial that I would have seen somewhere. Like really immersive, you know. I'm looking at Star Fox 64 3D on my shelf now. I might have to pop that in after this.
It's so good.
It's, oh my god! Please give me another Star Fox game. Just give me that, please. But anyway, no, I think we don't know enough about what the Switch 2 is even going to bring. There's been lots of, and I have this. This will go into my third tier, but we'll get there when we get there. It's a great transition into that. But I think that the Switch 2 is going to be enough of a leap where even if somebody's been hanging on like me since launch day of the first Switch, or if they might be on their second or third one, I think Nintendo is going to price it competitively enough. And even we may even see multiple launch models. We might have like a Lite and a Pro version or something like that. Who knows? I don't know. But or maybe a digital only version, as is the trend, where it might be affordable enough for somebody to upgrade, you know, even if they just bought little Jimmy, you know, the newest Christmas bundle 6 months prior. So who knows?
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see how it all bears out. And also, it's going to be very dependent upon launching or launch timing and, you know, the availability. As I'd indicated, that like if it's more available than the Switch 1, then maybe it will sell better than the Switch 1, because I think that a lot of its sales were hindered by the fact that people just couldn't find them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, what if it's just like they have enough that everybody who wants one can get one? Will that mean that like, you know, 15 million people want one?
Mm-hmm.
You don't, it's hard to say.
I like that.
But all right, what's your spicy level 3?
All right, spicy level 3. There's been this is all rumors, and it's been a lot of kind of making mountains out of molehills with certain things that Nintendo has said, or maybe like social media interactions and things like that. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Switch 2 will have some sort of Game Pass integration.
Ooh, okay.
And I think if that is the case, if it's like, hey, guess what? Your Switch is now an Xbox 2 for certain games, maybe, then I think it might. That is the end of the line for Steam Decks, Asus Rogue Allies. I think the Switch 2 will have enough cross compatibility and port power where it will completely bury any other handheld PC devices.
We had a thing similar to that in the buy or sell as well. Okay, so it's a little bit different, so we'll hold off on that.
Okay.
But you know,
but I think the Switch 2 puts them squarely in the crosshairs and ends up dominating. I mean, not that it isn't already dominating that market, because they're still kind of niche and expensive, but I think the Switch 2, they've had such a huge focus on ports and, you know, crossplay and, you know, different like the Switch is like a comparative to everybody else for Nintendo is like a 50,000 year leap in terms of like third party partnerships and ports and everything like that. And I think that that's going to really, really hurt Steam Deck and like Asus sales, and that's going to be the one platform to play everything on.
I like that. I like that prediction. I've been actually saying for a while that I am surprised that, because Xbox has shown a willingness to collaborate. They've shown a huge willingness, especially lately with like, this is an Xbox, that marketing strategy that they did, where it's just like, here's your phone. That's an Xbox because like of Xbox cloud gaming.
Mm-hmm.
I am shocked there's not an Xbox cloud gaming app on the Switch where you can just boot that up, and then if you have Game Pass, you can just play like Forza Horizon 5 on the
Mm-hmm.
cloud. Maybe it's a
It's coming.
technical problem with the first Switch, but Switch 2, it could be powerful enough, or it could have the technical specs to make that happen.
Yeah.
So I like that one a lot. I think that is fairly feasible. So I am going to go with my spicy level 3 now, and it's pretty specific.
All right.
Masahiro Sakurai. You know him, you love him. Creator of Kirby,
Mm-hmm.
creator of Super Smash Brothers. Been working on Smash Brothers ever since he made Smash Brothers on N64,
Mm-hmm.
with one break, and he had a few breaks, I guess. But the most noteworthy break was he made Kid Icarus Uprising.
Mm.
And my spicy level 3 is he is not, at least he's working. Okay, let me rephrase this. He is his next game that he announces, because I don't want to say he's not working on a Smash Brothers game, but the next game that he announces is not a Smash Brothers game, but instead a return to the Kid Icarus franchise for a Switch 2 year one game.
Ooh. I like that. And Uprising was good.
Yeah, I mean, it was hindered by its controls because like remember you had to buy like that circle pad, the extra joystick kind of thing.
Yeah.
That nobody wanted that, but like on the Switch 2, you would have natively included the 2 sticks, and he could actually fully realize this game that he still like has a lot of love for, and he loves that franchise. I think he wants a break from Smash Brothers. And I don't think he's going to go back to Kirby, because Kirby's actually in a good place right now. Like
Sure.
Forgotten Land was fantastic. We're getting, we just got Return to Dreamland Deluxe last year, which was very well done remaster. And, I think that he is going to be given the reins to Kid Icarus once again, and it's going to be a Switch 2 year one title.
I love that.
That's my spiciest take that we got here. Like I said, I kind of struggled with coming up with a really spicy take. And I think that's just a testament to how difficult to predict Nintendo is. Like, you can predict what Xbox and PlayStation are going to do because they're a lot more like, in lockstep with what you would think they should do, because I don't know, they're just a much more conventional gaming company, whereas Nintendo, they just throw stuff at the wall and see what works. Like, nobody until the reports started coming out, who would have ever thought Nintendo was going to just like revolutionize the motion control gaming space back in like the mid 2000s.
Right.
Same thing with like, the Wii U. Who could have ever predicted that? And then like, they are like, I always say that trying to predict Nintendo is a fool's errand, and you'll never get it right, which is why we're dedicating an entire episode to doing just that.
To trying to, the fool's errand episode. If I could throw a bonus take at you.
Go.
I'm co-opting this from my good buddy Johnny Rupia, also an avid ATN listener, whose prediction was, because I was talking to him about my predictions, I was kind of like workshopping a few, and his was that we're getting a new 3D Donkey Kong title at launch for Switch 2 to kind of usher in this like year of Donkey Kong, with the Donkey Kong amusement park, Donkey Kong having such a big role in the Super Mario Brothers movie, and that like we're about to enter into a new DK golden age. What are your thoughts on that?
I love that. I've been saying for a while that it would make sense for them to do a new Donkey Kong like 3D platformer, but I would also, like I said earlier, like Donkey Kong Country, like a new Donkey Kong Country game. Like, we're getting DKC Returns HD this month, like in like 2 weeks here. It would be really cool to see them bring back Donkey Kong. And I've been saying that, like, after the Mario movie, they put out Mario Wonder. Okay, capitalize on that. We got Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. We got Princess Peach Showtime. There's not really any Toad games aside from Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, but that was already on Switch. So it felt like and then Mario vs. Donkey Kong was a remake that happened earlier last year. So they were really capitalizing on the popularity of the increased popularity of all these characters. I would not be surprised if they did that, where they were like, oh, wow, this movie really was a huge success. We should start something with Donkey Kong, because, I would say that like outside of Mario and Peach, like Donkey Kong was like the third lead in that movie.
Oh, 100%. And they had such a big focus on all the Kongs and all the different like unique characters in their in their kingdom, and And Nintendo does have a track record of like soft launching interest in a game. Like they came out with, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and then you have Pokemon Legends Arceus. You'll have like a remake or a port or something like that, and then you have the full, the whole shebang that comes out, like the really big release. And we're getting Donkey Kong Country Returns HD just to kind of keep it on people's minds, keep it on the tip of their frontal lobes there. Who knows? Maybe then they say, hey, guess what? Here's your Donkey Kong 3D Switch launch title. Who's to say we can't get multiple first party bangers with the release of a new console?
Love that. That's a great prediction there, and it's one that I could totally buy that. We're doing buy or sell in the next segment,
sure.
so yeah, I'm buying that one. I am buying that one. But Dom, we're going to take our only break of this episode, and when we return, we'll be playing a little bit of listener buy or sell for 2025. We will be right back after this short musical interlude. We are back, and Dom, I have tried to make this a more community-driven show since I took it independent in April of last year. And if I'm being honest, it had varying degrees of success. But today, the community is in charge with this second segment, as they have sent in a ton of buy or sell prompts for predictions in 2025. Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to read these prompts off, and you and I will either buy or sell that the thing they say is going to happen will happen in 2025. I got literally 100 or more prompts sent in, so we'll get through as many of these as we can, and then the hope is that at the end of 2025 we can revisit these and see how good or bad our predictions were.
Absolutely.
So I'll have to invite you back on near the tail end of this year, and then we'll see who was buying or selling the right way. We'll also revisit the three that we gave in the first segment here.
Yes. If you're listening to this, start your spreadsheets now. Make sure that you have myself and Brian's, buy or sell preference there so we can keep score.
But all right, let's. I have a document here with all of the buying or selling prompts here. First one up here is Marshall Thompson over on Patreon. They say, buy or sell, a new Star Fox will come out this year for Switch 2.
Ooh, I'm buying that because I want it so bad. I want to believe. That's I said it earlier in the show, and I know I think you had that one loaded up for me, but yeah, I'm buying that for sure.
Yeah, I think it's tough though, because I think it would make sense. Shigeru Miyamoto has in the past said that the most underrated Wii U game was Star Fox Zero, which I could disagree with that, but he has a lot of love for that franchise. He has a lot. I mean, I feel like the two franchises that he thinks are the most underrated, but he is in love with them, is Star Fox and Pikmin. Pikmin is his baby. And Star Fox, I feel like he has a lot of love for as well. I would not be surprised if he wants to elevate Star Fox back up. It completely skipped the Switch generation, unless you count Starlink. That was a Ubisoft creation.
Yeah, that was. They almost had me. They almost had me buying plastic figures again.
But yeah, I think that I'm gonna buy this one. I think that a Switch 2 Star Fox entry would make a lot of sense, and yeah, I'm buying on this.
Love it.
All right, we have next one. Grant over on Patreon says, buy or sell, we won't hear anything about the Switch successor until March, and in January we will get a direct mini to set up the first quarter of the year or so with a few remaining original Switch titles.
Ooh, it's tough. I'm going to sell that because I think, we've had a shocking amount of leaks and rumors flying around. I don't know if you saw the D-brand case debacle, how they allegedly leaked the Switch body model. And I mean, I don't know, they have a troll track record anyway, so who knows if that was even real. But I don't know, I feel like Nintendo's been a little bit more of a porous vessel lately, and I wouldn't be surprised if we heard some stuff before March. And I do think that they're done with first party big Switch titles.
I mean, I've been saying this for a while that I think that all of the A team developers have moved on to Switch 2
Hmm.
development already, which is why we got a lot of the games that we got in 2024 being from like some of the not A team developers, but they
Yeah.
were still pretty good. I'm going to sell on this one as well. I think that we're going to hear about Switch 2 this month. That's my prediction.
Ooh, I'm excited just even thinking about that.
Yeah, that is exciting. That we are now currently in the phase where we are going to. I mean, we're going to hear about the Switch 2 in the next 90 days.
Hmm.
Like
Oh.
that's the reality that we live in, and I think it's going to be
Ooh.
in the next 30 days, personally.
All right, all right, I like that.
Okay, so Kai B over on Patreon has a couple here. First one is one that we've kind of covered already. They say, buy or sell, Nintendo announces a brand new Donkey Kong game in 2025.
Buy, 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 buy. It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah, I'm buying on that one as well. I said it last segment that I think that is that's a very good prediction for the first year of the Switch 2. And then they follow up with buy or sell. I think this would be Mario Kart 9. They say Mario Kart 10, but I think Mario Kart 9 was the one that we're on here. Mario Kart 9 includes a non-time trial single-player feature like mission mode in Mario Kart DS. So like special missions you can complete single player.
Sell. I think Mario Kart has been so. I think whatever the new feature is in the next Mario Kart is going to be more community focused. I think instead of us encouraging solo play, I think we could even see something like a track creator or customize. I think that's like the one thing Mario Kart's missing, and I just feel like it would feel almost like a step back to put in like solo content in the game where Nintendo already has a great record of like letting players customize things like with Mario Maker and stuff like that's the one thing Mario Kart doesn't have that it could really use. So yeah, no, I don't think we see that in whatever the next Mario Kart is.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy this one. And the reason that I'm buying it is that I think that they're going to have to swing big with Mario Kart 9. Look at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That was a massive success. It's one of the best selling Nintendo games of all time. There's so much content in there now that there's like all the DLC and everything. I think that we are going to get a Mario Kart 9 that, yes, has a lot of community features, but they're also going to include things from the past. Like, I think there's going to be a double dash mode. I think there's going to be a mission mode. I think there's going to be a lot of fan favorite features returning, in addition to things like, track creation or stuff like that. Like, things that are community focused, but also things that are like harkening back to the favorite features from past games that have kind of faded away, like those things I mentioned before.
I like that.
So I'm buying that. And then Wham Bam Sam the Gaming Man over on Patreon has 3 here for us. Buy or sell, Baldur's Gate 3 will be a launch title on Switch 2.
Oh, that game is huge. Buy.
I'm buying as well.
I love that.
mean, that would be so much fun to have on the go. I mean, yeah, there's Steam Deck, but it would be nice to have it on Switch.
And they had Divinity 2 on Switch 1. So, and I mean, there's that relationship's there. I can see that. Okay.
The only thing that I will say is that means that it has to be at least as powerful as the Xbox Series S, because remember, the reason that they held back putting it on Xbox was Xbox had that weird, like, everything has to be identical with the Series S and Series X minus, like, graphical fidelity. Like, the features have to be perfect parity between those two. And they were like, hey, we can't do this because we can't get 4-player multiplayer working on the Series S. We can only get it working on the Series X. And Phil Spencer made an exception for that game because it was so huge and said, no, you can do 2-player multiplayer on Series S and then make it so it's 4-player works on Series X. And that was a special exception. So that means that it would have to be at least as powerful as the Series S for Larian to consider bringing it to Switch too, which I think is attainable, especially given how powerful the Steam Deck is.
The one caveat is that Larian was basically like, we're moving on from Baldur's Gate, like we're not doing anything else Baldur's Gate related. So like I don't know if that includes ports, but they had said like no more DLC, like no Baldur's Gate 4, like we're gonna go do our own thing again. Like we got all this sweet Hasbro money, so we're moving along. But who knows? I don't know if that includes ports or not. I also don't know if did Larian do the Divinity 2 port, or was it someone else?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see.
Because if that's the case, then I'd say that's you can blow that wide open. But I can see it happening. I can see it happening.
Let's see. Yeah, I can't find it immediately, and I don't want to spend too much time looking up who did that. But
you're right.
yeah, I mean, I think that wouldn't include ports. I feel like that announcement was more of like, we're just done creating new content for this game.
True.
But yeah, I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna buy that it is. If it's not a launch title, it's a launch window. But the prompt is launch title, so screw it. Let's go for it. Buy.
Yep, big.
They also have two others. One is Nintendo will release a light Switch 2 at launch alongside the main console.
I'm also buying that. I think we're gonna get like an S and an X model. One is digital only, light, and then one is, the big boy $100 extra model that I no doubt will be shelling out money for. So yeah, I 100% can see them having dueling pianos at launch.
Oh man. So the Wii U was the only time I can remember a pro model launching alongside the standard model. Remember there?
Oh yeah, that's right. That was the black one.
Core and Pro. Yeah, I ended up getting that one because it had a whopping 32 gigabyte hard drive inside of it, and it came with like Nintendo Land, which I ended up like hardly ever playing. I'm gonna sell this. I think Nintendo has learned one thing from the Switch. I mean, they've learned a lot of things from the Switch, but one of the things they have learned is that if you release the launch model, people will buy that. And then 2 years down the line, you can release a light model or an OLED model or whatever, and people will buy that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they're going to hold off so that they can double dip a little bit.
All right.
So yeah, I'm liking that we're having a little bit of divergence here.
Yeah, we're starting to split a little bit.
All right, one more from Wham Bam Sam, the Gaming Man. Buy or sell, Nintendo will create a Pro Joy-Con for the Switch 2 that will replicate a Hori controller, and it will be ridiculously priced.
It's tough because there's no real like Sam didn't put a timestamp on this, so it could happen, in 6 months or in 2 years.
Well, I'm saying that any of these buy or sells, if they don't have a specific date, we're gonna assume it's for the first year of the Switch 2's life cycle.
Then I would say sell.
Or actually no, if it's not, and I'm just gonna say 2025. That is the window we are looking at for these buy or sells, unless somebody puts like a specific time frame. So in 2025, that is something that Sam is saying.
What do you think ridiculously priced is?
I think we'll say $100 or more for the set of Joy-Con Pros.
I think we just see like a Pro controller, like a regular Pro controller, like we have now for the Switch, available at launch, and that's that. I don't think we see like an absurdly priced, like Xbox Elite type deal for the Switch, which is I feel like kind of what Sam's getting at. So I'm going to sell that one.
Yeah, I'm going to sell it as well. I think that maybe they'll do that somewhere down the line, but I don't think it's going to be right at launch. I think it's going to be the same reason that I sold on the light model. I think that they realize people might buy up extra Joy-Cons, and then they could be like, oh, well, what if we put out this Pro model? People can double dip, and also, it sounds like the Joy-Cons that are, at least according to the leaks, are going to be a pretty market improvement over the original Joy-Cons anyway. So I'm going to sell on that.
So many ice cubes, so many imaginary ice cubes in the.
Yes. I can't believe we got another 1-2 Switch game. Mad Genie, aka Confused Koala, over on the community Discord. Buy or sell. This is kind of in line with my spicy level 3. Buy or sell. Nintendo and Sakurai announce both a new Kirby game and Super Smash Bros. 6, both exclusive to Switch 2, coming this holiday. That would be lofty.
Ooh. Kirby and Smash. Ooh. I mean, Kirby's been on a run. You did point this out earlier. You had Kirby in the Forgotten Land. You had the Return to Dreamland. There have been. I mean, it feels like they're on a good clip with Kirby games, but both Kirby and Smash. I think Smash is a year 2 game, so I'm going to sell that. I feel like that's your year 2 console seller.
I think I agree with you. I'd also, like I said, I think that Kirby is in a good place without the involvement of Sakurai, and not that they wouldn't benefit from having a guy like Sakurai, again, the creator of Kirby, coming back and helping out. But I think that he's kind of moved on from Kirby, despite still having a lot of love for him, or a lot of love for Kirby in Smash Brothers. Is that's obviously a big thing for Kirby. Like Kirby's always been like one of the main featured characters. Like if you look at the Smash Brothers, what is it, the World of Light in Smash Ultimate, Kirby is like the main character in that. Like the cutscene, Kirby was the sole survivor.
True. Very true.
I'm going to sell. Right. I don't think that we're getting Kirby or Smash this year. I think that, like you said, Smash might be a year 2 or even a year 3 game, because
I thought they make us wait.
How do you even top Ultimate? That's the problem. That's the problem that Nintendo has with both Mario Kart 9 and the next Smash game, is how do you top what they just did? Because those were truly the ultimate forms of those franchises, and those are 2 of their most popular franchises.
They have a lot of third-party licensing agreements to renew and to work out. So it's going to take them a little while. But who knows? But I'd say, it's definitely, we're looking at year 2 for those at least.
All right, let's go over to Jared DeMadred on Discord. Buy or sell? Nintendo announces another Legend of Zelda game out of the blue that releases holiday 2025. You may think it's crazy, but they have been releasing one Zelda a year, whether it's a new game, a remake, a remaster, pretty much since Breath of the Wild came out. I can see at least one new /remake/remaster in 2025.
Damn. There's a lot of good points being made there. And again, I mean, Zelda, we have seen a lot of Zelda. There's been a lot of Zelda in the last couple of years. I don't hate that. I can almost see, and this is probably wishful thinking. I mean, give me a Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons that has the Link's Awakening treatment. I would love to see something like that. Let's get nuts. I'm buying that. I can see that.
Well, this kind of leads into another one that we got. This is why I'm buying it. Seth Macy over at IGN and Nintendo Voice Chat Podcast. Great guy.
Extremely tall.
Surprisingly tall, right? He submitted one for this as well. He said, buy or sell Wind Waker for the love of Christ. And that's why I'm buying, because Wind Waker, I think, is going to be a remaster that we receive on Switch 2 in 2025. Also, by the way, I want to plug that Seth Macy currently is running a GoFundMe for his wife, who is currently recently diagnosed with cancer. And if you have the means, absolutely go support that. We have a lot of problems with our healthcare system, but among them, chief among them is how much it costs to get necessary and life-saving care. So please support that if you can do it. I'll put the link in the show notes here.
Absolutely.
But Seth Macy, one of the very good guys of games media. Go check that out. And then there's another one. Let's get back to the Zelda train here. I'm just going to Control F in this document because... Okay. RFT 3FT on Blue Sky. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that. It's like a vanity license plate where it's like, I'm not quite seeing the words here. Buy or sell, Nintendo announces an Ocarina of Time remake for Switch 2. And that has been one of my predictions for the longest time, is that has happened. I even asked Eiji Numa about it. He gave me, in English, no comment.
Oh, interesting. I don't know. Man. I'm going to say, again, it's like, I can't see this happening in the first 2 years. Was it remake or remaster?
Remake.
Oh.
So here's what I'm thinking, and I've said this on this show before. I think that it makes so much sense to remake The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, because so many people were introduced to Zelda through Breath of the Wild, through Tears of the Kingdom. If Nintendo ever wants to go back to that more linear but still somewhat open style that we have from Ocarina of Time, from Wind Waker, from Twilight Princess, I think
what better way to do it?
Remaking in modern visuals, modern mechanics, everything, the originator of the 3D Zelda franchise, that's the way to do it, and reintroduce the longtime Zelda fans who have been away from that style of 3D Zelda for a long time, and completely from scratch introduce people who have gotten into the Zelda franchise since the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom games.
Sure.
That's a great way to do that. And then from there, they can go back to whatever style they want, whether they want to, go back to like a Tears of the Kingdom style game, or they want to go back to like that more traditional 3D Zelda format.
Ooh, I like that. I'll buy that. I can see that. I think that is on the same degree. I mean, it depends on what kind of, perspective that you have on this, but like, the way that College Football 25 was when that got announced, where it was like College Football 25 is back for the first time in 15 years, and people who don't even buy game consoles anymore, are like I'm buying a PS5 just to play college football again. That is gonna be that times 10, where I can see buddies that I see on a regular basis who don't play video games at all will be like, that is my childhood in a cartridge, and I will buy a console just to play this. Like, that is going to be, that would shift things. That there's one of very few games, I think, in its class that could do something like that, where it would be bringing people who have not purchased a game console in their adult lives to go get one just to play a remake of Ocarina of Time. So yeah, I can see it. I'll buy that.
And also, one of the greatest games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not anything wrong with that. I think that they would knock it out of the park if they did something like that, as long as they don't try to shoehorn too many gimmicks in, like they did with like Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
That's very true.
But that was Game Freak. That was not Nintendo proper. Nige over on Twitter, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Buy or sell, the next Zelda game will be a Breath of the Wild sequel. So presumably the third entry in a trilogy with Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and then this third game that Nige is asking us.
This is probably just my own biases. I hope not, so I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say sell them.
I would love a third one. My pitch for this arc, right? Like there's this arc. We got Calamity Ganon in Breath of the Wild. We got Ganon in Tears of the Kingdom. And remember what happened in the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom? The Master Sword was shattered. You know who's housed in the Master Sword? Who's sealed away in the Master Sword? Demise from Skyward Sword.
Very true.
What if the third entry was the return of Demise, and it ends up being like the climax of the entire Zelda franchise, this climactic showdown against the entity that started this entire cycle, and this is to put an end to this cycle that has caused Link, Zelda, and Ganon to be embroiled in combat for thousands of years, and you just have to finally take out Demise, and that is the third entry. That is my pitch for the third entry in that. That said, Eiji Aonuma also has said that they're done with this story for now. That could change. That could have changed. This interview was like 2023 that he said that. But I'm going to sell. I don't think the next Zelda game is going to be in the Breath of the Wild line of games. I think they're going to go to a different era, different style of gameplay. and they kind of made it seem like, yeah, we have done all that we can do with this version of Hyrule.
Yeah.
That
I
said,
can
I
see
would
that.
love it if that was kind of like the conclusion to that
I do
trilogy.
like the pitch. I do like the pitch.
But yeah, selling for that one. Let's go back to the Discord. The Pickled Ginger over on Discord says, buy or sell, Nintendo will announce a GameCube library to accompany the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack on Switch 2, available late 2025.
Sell. I think we're skipping. I feel like we see like DS before we see GameCube.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know. I think as much as I would love it, don't get me wrong, there's so many GameCube games that I would love to be able to take on the go with me, but 2025 is so soon. Or I mean, we're in it, right? But holiday is it's going to be here before you know it, and that's such a big ad. Unless, I mean, granted, hey, new console, maybe they introduce a new tier for NSO, but I just feel like there's. I think we get DS before we get GameCube.
Now, I have a follow-up for you after that based on your answer, but Pickle Ginger has one more that kind of goes hand in hand with their original one. Buy or sell, 2026 will see the release of the original Animal Crossing for the GameCube library, maybe Animal Crossing Plus if we're lucky, with a new Animal Crossing on the horizon for spring 2027.
Wow. It's interesting because I feel like, it's not like Animal Crossing has like a plot. I don't know if there's really like, is there an appetite for like a remaster of the original Animal Crossing? Because they're all kind of the same. They have different. Sure, there's different features and I don't know. I don't. I think I'm gonna sell that one too. I don't see them like just remastering Animal Crossing just to do it. I'm not familiar with Animal Crossing Plus.
I think it would be like like an enhanced version of the original Animal Crossing.
Okay.
I think that's what they're getting at.
I mean, they did cut content way too quickly for
Horizons.
New Horizons. So I would love to see a new Animal Crossing game, but I'm gonna sell that one too. I don't think we're getting one that soon.
I'm gonna buy that we get a new Animal Crossing by spring 27.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna sell that Animal Crossing, the original. Actually, that's tough. I'm gonna buy this wholesale. If we do in fact get GameCube on Switch, I think Animal Crossing, the original Animal Crossing, is one of the ones that they will start with. I think that's going to be a shoo-in given the popularity. That said, it might be tricky because remember, there's a lot of those classic NES games in there.
Oh, that's
It's
right.
like emulation within emulation at that point. I don't know how that would work. That might make it a little bit trickier.
That is tricky.
That said, Nintendo, I think they were all first-party Nintendo games that were included in that. So they don't have to like worry about licensing or anything like that because they own all the licenses. But I'm going to buy
Right.
that, by 2026, we have GameCube library and Animal Crossing is included in that. And then a new Animal Crossing by spring 2027. That I'm going to buy that.
Okay.
Kind of piggybacking off of your answer to that, Dom, we have a couple here. They kind of go hand in hand. So Jay Allen on Twitter says, buy or sell, the Switch 1 will be able to connect to the Switch 2 as a controller, rejuvenating dual screen play again. And then Stroman Clint over on Thread says, buy or sell, Switch 2 will have a second screen function so Nintendo can release DS games on Switch Online, more like Wii U than an actual second screen.
I am gonna buy this in some capacity. My buddy and I were talking about even like what if the Switch's screen could attach vertically and horizontally. So like you could, you do that to get the dual screen effect from the 3DS, and for the DS in general. So yeah, I'll buy that. I think they're going to try to find a way to make it work. If anybody can make it work, it's Nintendo. Very rarely do they like really go back to the well on gimmicks, but I feel like they'll figure out a way to make that work where it's not just like one gigantic letterbox in the middle, because that would be horrible. But yeah, I think we see that'll work out somehow.
Yeah, I don't know how they would make it work. The rumors are and the leaks are that the Joy-Cons are magnetic this time around, so it could potentially attach on
Mm.
either side. I just don't know how they'd make that work up on the TV.
So many kids are going to lose those. So many kids are going to lose those if those aren't like hooked in. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's not the rail-based system that it has on Switch One, according to most of the leaks that I'm seeing.
I'm already seeing myself like tripping over one at like a rest stop somewhere, just like a rogue Joy-Con underneath like a little McDonald's picnic bench or something. It's like, oh no. Oh dear.
Pour one out for the fallen.
Yes, 100%. Those fallen $90 half controllers.
Three Sword Sama on Discord has three for us. Buy or sell, a new Castlevania will be announced, and it will be a Souls-like, not a 2D Metroidvania.
I don't know enough about the Castlevania series to kind of know what direction it's really trending in. I can definitely see that. I think there's been just so many Souls-like titles that it definitely makes sense. I'll buy that. I can see that happening. Again, I feel like we mentioned this earlier, where like we haven't really seen much from Castlevania, and I'm sure that is going to be that would be a controversial move for like longtime diehards of the franchise, but it could pull in lots of new eyeballs on it. So yeah, we'll buy that. That sounds fun and interesting for a direction for it to go.
Now, Konami has been notoriously inactive with their internal development. Do you think they license it out to a studio that has worked on Souls-likes in the past?
Yes, I think we do. Yeah, I don't think it ends up being like an internal Konami joint. I think we end up seeing a player that has come through, like it's probably not From Software, but
yeah,
someone else who has been kind of already in the development there. I mean, I think that's wholly possible for sure.
Yeah, I want to sell this because I do think that the next Castlevania game is going to be a 2D Metroidvania, because they're probably just going to go lower budget and like kind of like they did with the Dead Cells collaboration, but they also just did a Dead Cells collaboration where it's a 2D Metroidvania basically.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I'm going to buy this because Souls-likes, everybody wants to make Souls-likes right now. And Castlevania has a lot of that, like, Eldritch horror elements. So I'm going to buy it because it would fit perfectly. Castlevania would be a perfect candidate for a Souls-like game.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of finding the right developer to make a good one. And I mean, maybe it's Team Ninja, maybe it's...
I was going to say Team Ninja, yeah. We don't have like a vampire themed Souls-like title. It's a lot of like gothic horror, fantasy, ninjas, samurais. I don't think we've got like a vampire themed Souls-like title, right?
What do you think about NeoWiz, the developer behind Lies of P?
Very interesting choice. I can see that. I don't know what else they're up to. Yeah, I don't know what else they're up to now, so I would assume a sequel. But that's why not? Give them that big at-bat there for sure.
But to answer your question, I can't think of any vampire-based... I mean, I'm sure there's like vampires in a lot of Souls-like games, but it's not like, we're going to take down Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
All right.
That's a good buy or sell from Three Sword Sama there. And then they also say buy or sell, there will be fewer first-party games in 2025 from Nintendo. And as Logan Plant pointed out 2 weeks ago, or last week or something, all time is completely meaningless right now in this era of New Year's and Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he pointed out that Nintendo published at least one game every month of the year in 2024. At least one game they published.
Yeah, it feels like it was a very big first-party heavy year. I don't see them like choking down on the pace there in a new console year. We're definitely going to see that. I don't see us getting less than that. And first-party games could be anything. I mean, we could have indie titles that are still first party games, like that they're licensing out to folks or something like that. I mean, we might see like a smaller project or something. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 3D Mario, a 3D Donkey Kong, a new Smash. Like they could be smaller projects, but no, I don't see them. Taking their foot off the pedal this year, especially in a new console year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna sell that there will be fewer first party games from Nintendo in 2025. I think that it's going to be floodgates opening as soon as that Switch 2 comes out. I mean, look at the 2017 that we got when the Switch 1 launched. I always rail off these Breath of the Wild, and then there was also like a couple of other first party games like 1-2 Switch, all that stuff. There was Splatoon 2. There was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah.
Mario Wonder or Mario Odyssey, I'm sorry, and then a few other ones.
Yeah. An insane year, and that was all like a lot of those were within like one quarter. I remember my wallet taking a beating the first year that the Switch came out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Three Sword Sama has buy or sell. Hollow Knight Silksong release date is announced in the first half of 2025.
Again, I don't know enough about Hollow Knight to like make an intelligent guess at this, so I'm just gonna say sell.
Okay, yeah, that's perfectly fair. I'm gonna say buy because I feel like that would be a big reveal for Nintendo for like the Switch 2 like reveal thing. It'd be like, oh, also Hollow Knight Silksong is coming to Switch 2, and then it's coming like day and date, and then maybe like it's coming later to other platforms.
I can see that. I can see that.
Chain Whippin' over on Discord says, buy or sell, Switch 2 A will be named and shown in the big February Direct. Nintendo's always traditionally done a February Nintendo Direct. B, all the details will be revealed in May. C, released in September. D, with a 3D Mario not called Odyssey 2. And E, Metroid Prime will be the big November game.
Okay, so
big February Direct will be named and shown.
Yes.
All details will be revealed in May. Released in September.
Well, named and shown, I think we're getting everything. I think we get everything Q1. So buy on that, sell on number 2.
Released in September.
Sell. I think we get it in the summer. I think it's coming out earlier than people think.
3D Mario not called Odyssey 2.
Buy.
And Metroid Prime 4 will be the big November game.
Buy.
I'm going to sell on shown in the February Direct. I think that we're getting it in January, as I said before. I think all the details will be revealed there as well. I think that it's going to come sooner than September. I would say even it could be like a spring release. But yeah, summer's a safe bet. I think that we are getting Odyssey 2. I think that's the 3D Mario that we're getting. And I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to be before that. Before November. I think it's going to be... I mean, I think it's going to be a simultaneous launch, personally. And that there are several people...
I mean, God knows we're due.
Yeah.
God knows we're overdue for Metroid Prime 4, so...
Several people have said, have asked buy or sell, it's going to be a simultaneous release on Switch 1 and Switch 2. I'm buying that.
I'm going to say, yeah, I'll buy that, because I just feel like they're going to... I feel like it would almost feel unfair to be like, hey, we pushed this game back 300 times. We announced this before a lot of you could even think about affording a new console. So here's your little bone throw. Here's your Twilight Princess, where like you're getting the lesser version of it for sure. It's way more cool on the next console, but at least you have it.
I mean, that's what they did with Breath of the Wild, right? It got delayed so often, so many times that they're like, well, we can't just not put it out on Wii U. They did make it worse than it was going to be, though, by removing the map on the second screen. But they still put it out.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
All right.
Yeah, they'll be like, you're fine here, damn. Like, leave us alone.
Nintendo 101 on Discord says, buy or sell, Nintendo releases a new Game Pass option for third-party games that were never on Nintendo, but also keeps a better version on the eShop to just one-time buy games.
Buy. They're going to continue down that road. Like I said, we're going to get like a Game Pass third-party big partnership. It's going to be, I think it's going to be huge. I think they end up making a really big push into that. And And yeah, I like the idea of them keeping a digital only one-time purchase for themselves.
Yeah.
I like that.
Having the eShop be better, which is I'm trying to think of find this one here. It was buy or sell. Switch 2 will have a redesigned OS, including themes and an eShop that's not hosted on Miyamoto's 30-year-old cigarette-stained PC. That's Alex on Blue Sky.
Miyamoto definitely has all of his passwords on sticky notes on his computer. Yeah, agreed. Buy. They need to.
They need to overhaul that eShop, yeah, for sure. Chaps my ass on Discord says, buy or sell, Brian finishes Super Metroid. I'm gonna buy that.
Sell.
I'm gonna try to do that in 2025.
Vote of no confidence in Brian Shea. That is that we get too much of it. It's going to be too big of a year.
Zerpified on Patreon says, buy or sell, Elden Ring in the Switch 2 trailer, a la Skyrim in the original Switch reveal.
Buy.
I'm gonna buy that as well.
Elden Ring is going to be the new Skyrim, where it's like going to be on people's refrigerators and microwaves and stuff like that within the next 5 years.
One that we've kind of touched on from Zerpified on Patreon, buy or sell, the next 3D Zelda game is teased or revealed by the end of 2025.
Yeah, buy. Yeah, I think
buying that. I think that's going to be a summer direct tease, or it's going to be a Switch 2 like reveal stream tease where it's like, we have this, we're working on it, it's still like several years off, but there is a new 3D Zelda game similar to what they did with Tears of the Kingdom. They revealed it at E3 2019.
Sure.
And then it came out several.
They do the logo. Yeah. I like that. Yep.
Brett Thomas Miro on Patreon says, buy or sell, the next 3D Mario game is open world, similar to Bowser's Fury.
Buy. I think it was. I mean, granted, it's been years now since we saw Bowser's Fury for the first time, but that did feel like a beta test for like whatever the next Mario could be. So yeah, I'll buy that. I can see it. I can see that happening.
Absolutely, I'm right there with you. This is more of a kind of vibe check than a prediction. By Philip G. Cox on Blue Sky, buy or sell, Nintendo lost some of its charm as a company with the Switch.
I am going to say sell. I don't agree with that. I think Nintendo has had a lot of growing up to do for years now, and I think the Switch saw them mature a little bit, but they didn't lose any of their charm. I guess it kind of depends on how you viewed them before, like pre and post Switch, which I guess we can even say we're in like this post Switch era now. I think we saw a lot of growing up, but they didn't sacrifice anything. We still had phenomenal first party titles. There's been a few misses. There's been a few kind of middle of the road releases, but Nintendo is still Nintendo, and they still have their quirks and what have you about them that we all either love or hate or both. So yeah, I mean, I think it's, for better or for worse, it's still same old Nintendo. We're just finally getting, hopefully, like modern caliber hardware moving into this new era.
That's my hope, and I would sell this. I think Nintendo has been pretty freaking charming still throughout this. I mean, they it wasn't as like quirky as like Wii U was, but also look at how poorly the Wii U sold. I think they realized they had to reel it in a little bit there.
Totally.
We have time for a few more here. Hayes Madsen from Inverse over on Twitter says, buy or sell, the Switch 2 launches with a Fire Emblem game.
Ooh. I'm going to say buy. I think we're due. And we just got one, like, 3 or 4 years ago was the last Fire Emblem title. And I know that that's a real beloved one. I think, like, in terms of launch titles, it's like
2 years ago, I think. Engage.
Yeah, that's right. I think we get like a very popular but less mainstream first party title like Fire Emblem. We get an instant seller like Mario, and then we get like a mature port like Baldur's Gate. Like you get like a kind of a big 3 in your launch window for your Costco pack-in bundles. So yeah, I can see that happening.
I am going to sell this. I think that we're going to get another Fire Emblem game, but I think it's going to be either late 2025 or early 2026.
Okay. All right.
Manuel Prez from Yo Soy Un Gamer over on Twitter says, buy or sell Smash 1. I'm assuming this means Smash 64. Finally announced during the reveal of the Switch 2. I think a lot of people are waiting for Smash 64 to come to Nintendo Switch Online.
Ooh. Sell. I'm going to say sell. I don't know. I just feel like Nintendo has this horrible track record of like not listening to Smash fans. and I just like, I don't know. I just feel like they have this tormented history of like, please Nintendo, please give us this. And it's just like, no, you're going to get what we give you and you're going to be fine with it.
It is a weird omission though. I was at Giant Bomb's Dan Reichert's house last night for the New Year, and we whipped out Smash 64 for a few matches, and it was like, this is so weird. This is not on Switch Online.
Yeah.
Given how like Smash Brothers is such a beloved franchise, I would like it. I mean, I'll buy it. I don't actually know. I'm gonna sell it as a part of the Smash 1 lineup, but I'm gonna buy that it comes to Nintendo Switch Online in 2025.
Okay.
I just don't think it's gonna be part of the Switch 2 reveal.
That's true. All right, I like
Joey
that.
Ferris, previously of Game Explain over on Twitter, says, buy or sell Metroid Prime 2 and or 3 remastered, release in February. Very specific.
Ooh, 2 and or 3 remastered in February. I'll buy that. I think, just like I said before, Nintendo has this like track record of like, here's your remake, remaster, or port of this game that we're releasing the big one in like 6 months. So like give us like $40 now and give us $60 or $70 later. But like here's your little teaser for Metroid Prime fans to like hold you over. But didn't we just got the original remaster? So maybe
that was
not.
like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, was it that long ago?
I think that I'm going to buy this if Metroid Prime 4 is a holiday release. I will buy that they will give you the holdover entry.
Yeah.
And it might just come in the form of like Metroid Prime Trilogy. I just don't know if it's going to be on the same level as Metroid Prime 1 remaster, because that was like a gorgeous remaster.
Yeah.
And they reworked the controls and everything. I don't know if they would do that for another Metroid Prime game, but who knows? Like if they say it's late 2025, I could see it happening. I'm going to buy it in that case.
All these people with like $500 copies of Metroid Prime 3 Echoes for the Wii are going to be weeping into their instruction booklets as the value of it plummets.
Yeah, that's what happened with everybody who had like Final Fantasy VII on PS1.
Yeah, exactly.
Couple more here, and then we will get out of here, Dom. IGN and Toadstool Boardroom Podcast, Logan Plant over on Twitter. Buy or sell, Switch 2 will naturally boost the performance of backward-compatible Switch 1 games.
Oh, buy. It has to.
You think so?
I
know the Xbox does that. The Xbox Series X boosts the performance.
Well, this is Nintendo we're talking about, and no-brainers sometimes just aren't as no-brainery for Nintendo, but I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say, yeah, it makes sense. If we're talking about any other company on Earth, I feel like it would be this would be the case. So with all the hope in my heart that Nintendo may or may not deserve, yes, that'll we're getting that.
All right, Dom, you got time for 2 more?
Yeah, sure.
Also, I'm going to buy that as well. I forgot to mention I'm going to buy that. Yes, it's going to be performance boosted, and they've already announced that it's backward compatible with Switch 1 games. Mondo Percussion on Thread says, buy or sell, Square Enix releases a Chrono Trigger remake in 2025.
Wow. There's been so many of these questions that, like, if I didn't say yes to one, like, I would have said yes to this one. I feel like there's been a lot of talk about Chrono Trigger recently. I don't know. I think there was like even randomly there was this Timothy Chalamet interview where he was talking about how much he loved Chrono Trigger, and I'm like, are they like planting people in interviews to talk about Chrono Trigger to like get this like guerrilla marketing to get people talking about it again? I swear to God.
I mean, Timothy Chalamet started as a gaming YouTuber.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, before
Wow.
he was an actor, he was a gaming YouTuber. Like, if you remember when he announced the Game of the Year at Game Awards 2023,
That's
Jeff
right.
Keighley announced him by his YouTube handle.
I didn't even know that. Wow. I can see that. I just really hope it's not in the same style as like the like Octopath Traveler and the new Dragon Quest
You're not a fan of
remakes.
the
Like just
HC2D?
I don't know, it's just like so blurry, and I don't know, like I don't know that I know that's probably an unpopular opinion. I'm sure people would
It
go
is.
crazy for something like that, but I would much rather see like the other Dragon Quest newer sequels or something like that, where you have these fully beautifully rendered 3D characters and stuff like that. I'd much rather see something of that nature. Even like Super Mario RPG remake, which, as you know, is so close and near and dear to my heart. Like where they have those beautiful like cutscenes that they added to it and stuff like that. That didn't even have any dialogue, but still was nice to see these fully rendered, beautiful characters. Like I'd much rather see it get that treatment than see it get the 2D, 3D treatment.
I think I'd rather have the HD 2D treatment, honestly. Like, I
Okay.
think that some of those, like, modernized, like, hey, we're just going to remake this in 3D. As long as it's, like, Final Fantasy VII Remake, it looks fantastic. It's a gorgeous game. I will take that. But if I don't think that, I think they would probably go the more cartoony route. And that sometimes can look a little cheap when they try to bring that into, like,
I hear you.
I don't know. I'm going to sell that it's going to get a remake in 2025. Are you a Persona guy at all?
I actually have never played a Persona game.
Okay, so we'll skip the Persona buy or sells. I'm going to buy that Persona 3 Reload is going to come to Switch at some point in 2025. That was one that Baseball Seth submitted.
Okay.
But to close out this segment, trying to find a good one here. Okay. Jake Steinberg, who's a writer, over on Blue Sky says, buy or sell, a major launch title for Nintendo Switch 2 is built around motion controls.
Sell. I think they're done with. I think it's just like just play the game.
Even though the Joy-Cons are probably going to have some sort of motion component to them.
Like, would you consider 1-2 Switch a major launch title?
Yeah, I mean that was their was that their only other first party launch title aside from Breath of the Wild?
I guess you're right. Yeah, maybe we get like Switch 2 Sports.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean that would make sense, but I'm gonna buy just because Nintendo loves building stuff around their gimmicks, and they're never more committed to their gimmicks than they are at launch.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, they will oftentimes trail off. Like, remember how involved like the touch screen was on the Wii U at launch? Like Zombie U and all the, like, oh, New Super Mario Brothers U has like you can draw platforms on the Wii. It's like no, all that stuff fell by the wayside. Like it ended up just being like, okay, your inventory shows up on that screen now, but it wasn't like this is an integral part of the game by the end of the life cycle.
That's true. That's true.
So I'm gonna buy that.
All right, I'm gonna stick with my sell. I'll stick to my guns there, but you're probably right.
But yeah, thanks to everybody who submitted a buy or sell prompt. I wish we could have gotten to all of them, but there were, like I said, more than 100 got submitted across the various channels. So
my God.
Thank you so much to everybody who participated. Maybe we'll revisit it. I saved all the ones that we did not get to. But in case you're wondering what's on the other side of the Patreon fence, this week on All Things Gamers, it was a solo show because I was running down the best of 2024 as voted on by the members of the All Things Nintendo Patreon. And then I also counted down my personal top 10 games of 2024. You can actually see my top 10 games on YouTube over no cost whatsoever. But if you want to hear the full episodes of All Things Gamers, you can find that show at the $10 tier on All Things Nintendo's Patreon. But that wraps up this episode of All Things Nintendo. Dom, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's always great to be in the neighborhood here, and looking forward to seeing where we're at on these predictions. So this was exciting to talk about.
And thank you so much, everyone, for listening. As you know, the Patreon and the associated Discord server are the best ways to get in touch with me, but you can also reach out, Brian at allthingsnintendo.com, or hit me up on social media at Brian P. Shea. That is also my YouTube channel name, and if you would subscribe to that, it would help out the show a lot. Dom, where can people find you online?
You can find all things Wicked Good Gaming at Wicked Good Gaming on all social media platforms except for Twitter, where it's Wicked Good Games. We're one character off the limit there for some reason. My own personal is WGG Papa Dom on Twitter. You can also find us on Not Another Gaming Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your fine podcasts, anywhere that you already subscribe to All Things Nintendo, you can subscribe to Not Another Gaming Podcast. We are, I think, 7 or 8 years strong at this point. Every Thursday, we have the live show on twitch.tv/wickedgoodgaming, as well as the pre-recorded show that goes live on all podcast platforms Friday mornings. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much again. That is our show for this week. Thank you to everyone for listening. Take care. We'll see you next time. Before we wrap up this episode, I just want to give a special shout out to the $10 patrons to the All Things Nintendo podcast. Aaron Smith, Abdullah, Adam Scott, Elena R., Alec Acanino, Alex Stadnick, Andy Junkins, Ben Richland, Chain Whippin, Chaps My Ass, Chris Callie, Colton Bredlau, Dan Norman, Derek Sigmund, Dusty Beeman, Ian T. Clark, Jackal, Jason Thompson, Jawar Hello, Jill Grote, Johnny Five, Jordan Sloat, Jose Villalobos, Joseph Jury, Joshua DeProy, Justin Childress, Cody Gibson, Creeper207, Lindsay Hartz, Mad Genie Confused Koala, Marshall Thompson, Megan S., Nintendo 101, Paul at Drunk on Mako, Philip G. Cox, Pratable, Rob McCann, Bobby Mac 265, Robert Sousa, Roger Reichart, Russell Sayer, Scott Matthews, Sir Phobos, Smithy Poo, Tux DC, Wham Bam Sam the Gaming Man, Zach Marcus, Zachary Pliggy, and Zek 3 Sword Sama. Thank you all so much for supporting me. I'm very excited to continue creating this show for you all in 2025.